told me there's any help when you're raped. So eventually she ended up HIV positive. And she says that my mother later accepted me, accepted the incident. My father to date has not accepted the HIV status, neither has he accepted the rape. But then as she was speaking, I began to ask myself, where is the power? Who had the power to stop this rape? Is it the girl? Is it the abstinence messages we give? Is it the use of condoms we tell them? So there's somebody outside her system who has the power to change the environment. And that is why this agenda is being called a commitment. But it's a commitment being translated into an action. And an action that is accountable. And who is going then to demand for accountability, if not the girls themselves? So the question we've been dealing with for a long time is an issue of complacency. Let me just ask a question in the room. How many of you have daughters? 8, 9, 10? Good. Put up your hand today. If you're seated there today and you're wondering somebody will be raping your daughter as you're here today. No, God forbid. Are you scared? How many of you, since morning you have thought, my child is not secure? You're thinking that, yeah? But I'm sure there's somebody who is taking the child to school, dropping them back home. It's a safe. So you're worried, but not really, really worried to the edge of your seat. The issue we are dealing with is the fact that the 5% may never be in this room. Who is this child being raped? Who is this child? Who is the survivor of violence? Who is that adolescent, pregnant girl? Why is it our children in this room, we are going to be talking about Aremias in Canada, mine I don't know where. Why? It is because of an element that we all must face, that some of these diseases, they are called incidemics, are beginning to take the shape of poverty. And poverty brings the lack of agency. The lack of agency to buy the sanitary towel, the lack of agency to question a man next to you who has defiled your child. Those of you who have had kangaroo's court, can any of us, any of our children be subjected to a kangaroo court? The answer is no. So then, as a society, we begin to realize that those who have complacent. Complacent in such a way that when you're told 412,000 girls came to your facilities in Kenya in 2018 to give birth. When you're told last year 25,000 children aged 10 to 14 were in a maternity and life moved on as usual. So then the question for all of us is there anything we can do? The answer it is yes, there's something we can do, because I'm here today because somebody was bold enough in a meeting to question me and challenge me to come here in the middle of COVID. We had to come in masks, and they said, come to this village. We are here today because I was challenged enough to come and talk to those mothers and the girls, and they tell me about nyoka ya nyumbani. I'm here today because Roslyn, when I told you about this story, you went back there, and when the governor was also doing something on mentorship, she decided to focus on the agenda. And today we are here today because even the media has done a fantastic job on bringing this issue on the table. So in essence, what we're saying is that it's not a one-man job. It's actually the fact that we become intolerant to these things. And even HIV is interconnected with so many things you're doing. How many of those fathers and mothers today have their children vaccinated on human papillomavirus? Put up your hand if your child has been fully vaccinated. In the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The other parents, why are children not vaccinated? It's because we have assumed common knowledge. Human papillomavirus causes cervical cancer. Girls and women living with HIV are 5 times likely to get cervical cancer. And right now, as I'm speaking, we have vaccines in the stores in the Ministry of Health. And what is the issue? Adults shall continue to sit down and argue why their children cannot get that vaccine, because they never had it during their time. They'll also say, why are they giving them before they have sex? And then it's immoral. And in the end, when we see our mothers getting cervical cancer, because most of us are at the age where our mothers are having cervical cancer. They have cervical cancer because there was not vaccine available for them. So it's a change that begins with us, that will end with us, and these diseases and the situation of that Millicent girl will start with us. The chief who allowed the first rapist to go free, now the village elder who is taking action, the community health promoter who is no longer silent because their stipend is paid, they are closer to the system, and breaking that silence will take us where we want to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masha. Very, very sharp insights. And as we end this panel, I just want to say that very, very strong words have come from the panelists. And I think for a long time we have been addressing the symptoms. If your program has condoms and PrEP, you're waiting for something to happen or a vulnerability to increase so that you give an intervention. And that one is a vicious cycle. We will go on and go on and go on and go on. And then the donors will tell us, hey, we've been here long enough, we are going away. And the government will say, we cannot be investing in one thing. We have other emerging things that are coming. And then, but the vicious cycle is going on, and it will become another third epidemic. So I think we need to look at the root. Poverty has been mentioned. Poverty is a driver. In as much as we may not have one answer to solve poverty, this is something we need to put on the table. That if we have to change, if we have to go towards the end, we have to do it differently. Let's focus on poverty. And then secondly, men. Who in those girls, it's a man or a boy, or, you know, some are called boys. It's a man or a boy. And if the girl got HIV also, it is a man or a boy living with HIV. How many are they? It's about 500,000 out of the 50 million. So why don't we look for these 500,000 men and boys with HIV and address the issue? Because we know now, science has taught us, if we get them on treatment, then they won't be able to infect. And then the people who perpetrate, it's not every man in the community, and we know them. But some are saying, oh, we are Nanguvu. That one is the village elder. It is their own family issue. So how can we be bold to break these structural barriers? And unless we go and break our traditional and structural barriers, unless we target where the tap is open, we will not be able to go any further. We will still be in this vicious cycle. So let's talk about those hard to have conversations to be able to turn the tide. Thank you very much, panelists. Let's give them a clap. Thank you. Hiyo clap yenu Jo. Na mmekula. Tupeane makofi mzuri. Thank you. So because I won't have this mic again, I want to thank the Excellency, the Governor, for the time you gave us here and for the many things that are beginning from this county. So if it didn't start in Homa Bay County, it will not happen. Thank you.
Thank you. DJ, do you want people to stand up a bit? Yes, amusha watu. Watu wamekaa sana. DJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, after that great lunch, this song that we want to sing to you people is about an advocacy. We call it advocacy. We're using art to advocate. Inaitwa usipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Yes. Actually, we wrote this song because teenage pregnancy has been a menace in my village. So that is why we wrote this song.
Nilienda nyumbani nikampata karo, sikukuwa na habari eti ana mtoto, na yule mato kumbe pia aliyekwa ndonyo. Hakujikinga, hakujipanga, na sasa yeye amewekwa, yuko ndani na karao. Nilienda nyumbani nikampata karo, sikukuwa na habari eti ana mtoto,
mcheze kimaribu.
Yule mato kumbe pia aliyekwa ndonyo. Hakujikinga, hakujipanga, na sasa yeye amewekwa, yuko ndani na karao.
Wanaitwa Jonamu.
Sipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti. Usipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti, yuko na karao.
Yes. Jonam.
Haya ye. Mama mimi najiuliza, kwa nini nilemewe? Sasa naenda wacha shule, sasa naenda kuolewa, sasa naenda wacha shule, sasa naenda kuolewa, kumbe mbalie. Na huyu jamaa wino nasema ni nyumbani, tena pombe zake zimemleta kwangu mimi binti. Kwa nini?
Haya,
sipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti. Sipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti, yuko na karao. Sipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti. Sipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Uliza pita siku hizi yuko kamiti, yuko na karao, yuko na karao, yuko na karao.
yes.
Yuko na karao. Wafunge mchezo chini kidogo.
Atieno lose.
Yes. Now as the advocate. Your Excellency,
Atieno lose.
the governor, this has been your song long time. Now we do this. Jopachokoro wang nukonya weru matin. Iro moro aneno kwako boche polo.
Yeah.
aninyisa otieno duogie pacho ninyasuna tinde gero ndaloni osiptende tindo gero dio maber nyaka yedhe tindi yudo tetete nyaka ndere tindo gero ringo maber atieno lose lose dalawani lose atieno lose dalawani lose atieno lose dalawani lose atieno
Musibambe. Haya. Hey,
asante sana.
hey.
Thank you, Mama. Mama recognizes jana. Yes.
Ucheze kwa maringo. Ah. Yeah.
Now we play. Now listen. Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin.
Yeah.
Body Martin.
Charlene Ruto.
Niatieno Body Martin.
Haya.
Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin. Boko wachoko ni Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin. Boko wachoko ni Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin. Body Martin. Body Martin.
Now listen.
Wafungi peleka
Chini.
Hey, chini. Wafungi nataka municheze kitu benga ya wazee.
Hey.
Body Martin.
Hey.
Niatieno Body Martin.
You know.
Boko wachoko ni Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin. Boko wachoko ni Body Martin. Thank you, Mama. Niatieno Body Martin. Boko wachoko ni Body Martin. Niatieno Body Martin. Boko wachoko.
Seven.
Lose, atieno lose dalawani. Lose, atieno lose dalawani. Lose dalawani.
Usijali.
Lose dalawani. Inyakarembo. Lose dalawani. Abondo. Lose dalawani.
It's a big time, big thing.
Koyugi.
Yes.
Lose dalawani.
Haya, asante. Asante Jonam, asante sana, asante. Thank you. Yes.
Asante makofi.
Yes.
Makofi ya Janam.
Thank you.
Makofi. Atiyo wimbo unaitwaje? Atieno.
The first one is called Usipeane mimba kwa watoto under 18. Then the second one is called Atieno. That is courtesy of our governor.
Mmembadilika tena jina Atieno. Mimi nafikiri ni Nyasuba. Thank you very much.
Sasa ya nyumbani.
Asante Janam, asante. After this interesting discussion this afternoon, reflecting on what we learned in the field where we went and what we saw and what we witnessed, and as well listening to the panelists who ably represented out and did a deep dive onto what we saw and the way forward. I only want to say one thing, Your Excellency, the Governor. Charlene really stands out as a youth champion. Honestly, she speaks from her heart. How many of you agree with me? If you agree with me, kindly clap for her. When I was in the meeting today morning, during the presser, Charlene said she wants to possibly adapt a Luo name. And Charlene, I have a very simple way of adapting a Luo name. Nataka kuuliza governor, iko vijana hapa wajaluo hapa, iko vijana? Vijana hamna wajaluo hapa governor, hamna vijana? Iko? Sasa jini imepatikana. Sasa mkiwacha arudi nyinyi bure kabisa. Sasa si umesikia wewe. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, Your Excellency, and our guests, we want to move on to the next session. And the next session is a session of commitment. Because we have listened, we have seen, we have witnessed for ourselves. So I'm going to call a few people here at the front just to say what are we going to do from today differently and what do we commit to. Dr. Masha talked about a commitment plan, but more to that commitment plan, as individuals representing institutions, representing families, and representing societies, what are we going to do at our personal levels to change that which we can within our space? And Your Excellency, we came with a retinue of officers from the national government. And I'm going to call one of my colleagues who is representing the Principal Secretary for the State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action, Madam Anne Wangombe. She's represented here by Emily Opat, who is a director in that directorate, in that State Department. A clap for Emily as she comes, please. And she was with you at Ndiwa. So Emily, kindly make it short, 2 minutes only, just to summarize what you're going to do differently from today. Karibu.
Thank you, thank you.
You can take the podium.
Sorry. Your Excellency, Governor, Madam Anne Wangombe, all partners present in this room, my colleagues, and even the residents of Homa Bay, good afternoon. I'm Emily Opati, and Madam Governor, thank you so much for the work that you are doing around the triple threat. Madam Governor, that is Gladys Wanga, has been a worker. Madam, if you cannot remember, I was your CEO in GAF, and I saw how you worked. I was your first acting CEO when we started the GAF, and I can see that speed has not reduced. Thank you so much, Madam. Before I proceed, we have colleagues from national government, colleague from education, one year from interior, then my colleagues from the Ministry of Health, led by Dr. Masha and Dr. Bozire. Thank you so much for what you are doing. We have seen for ourselves. You will agree with me when you go and talk to some of these survivors, like we have interacted with young girls. It reminds us on how also to change the strategies on how we are handling some of these things. We are doing well, but we need to up our game so that we can achieve what we intend to achieve. On behalf of the national government, we have changed the approach on how we do things in the spirit of one government approach. We are working together with online ministries, with the Council of Governors, and with partners. One example of this is through the Gender Sector Working Group, where we meet, we coordinate, and everybody is on board. Madam Governor, one of the ways through which we have done or we have worked together, we have this document. You can see this commitment, a commitment plan to end the triple threat. This document you are seeing, it was a product of all the government agencies working around this. They have committed through appendment of signatures. We have Minister of Interior, we have Minister of Education, we have the Minister of Gender, we have the Minister of Health, we have the Council of Governors that have committed, and they have indicated their responsibilities on how they are going to work around this problem of the triple threat. Thank you so much, residents of Homa Bay. Thank you, Madam Anna Waiguru. Thank you, partners. And I will not leave without passing the greetings from my bosses in Nairobi. Receive greetings from my CS, Madam Aisha Juma. Receive greetings from my PS, Madam Anne Wangombe. Thank you so much and be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. A better round of applause for Emily, please. Thank you. Now, moving very fast, I want to call one of our seniors from the region, who is also representing Dr. Bello Kipsang, the PS for State Department of Basic Education. Mr. Dixon Ogonya, the Regional Director from the Ministry of Education. 1 minute, kindly, sir. A clap for him as he comes, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Dixon Ogonya. I work in the Regional Director of Education's Office, Nyanza, as a Director of Education. And today, for this function, I'm here to represent our PS, State Department for Basic Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang. Please take his apologies. He was not able to come, though he would have wished to be here today. Now, from State Department of Education, one, we are saying that very many learners have been able to access education, though so many are still out there. And one of the issues that stop them from coming to school is the triple threat. And want to commit that through the school reentry policy of 2020, we'll always strive to make sure that all girls who have fallen out of school for one reason or another would go back to school. We also have a HIV education sector policy on HIV, AIDS, which actually deals with issues of prevention, care, treatment, as well as offering psychosocial support to the affected and the infected. And we also take cognizance of the fact that all these we cannot do alone. We need to work in collaboration with both state and non-state actors, so that that vision can be realized. We also, as a ministry, have education sector gender policy, I think of 2015, which addresses issues of sexual gender-based violence issues. And lastly, when you look at the current CBC curriculum, especially if you look at the grade 7 syllabus, addresses so many issues of social skills, which can be very valuable to those who have been affected and affected by the triple effects. Thank you. Where is Mr. Busire? Oh.
Sorry, I was consulting a bit. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Gonya. Hii ni wazee wa kazi, wametufundisha kazi. Tafadhali, asante. Now, we want to move on, and we had partners here today. And our partners are under now spice of 3-year country framework between Kenya and the UN. And this country framework has identified ending the triple threat as one of the priority of the joint UN family in this country. We do not take that for granted nationally, and I'm sure even the people of Mabey do not. On their behalf, I want to call upon Dr. Medin Tisayu, who is the country director of the joint program of the UN on HIV and AIDS, UN AIDS, to make our remarks and introduce our colleagues. Makofi, Dr. Medin. Thank you. Please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bosire. Your Excellency, Governor Gladys, members of the county government, partners, all protocols observed. My name is Medhin Sahayu. I'm the UNAIDS country director. But today, Your Excellency, I'm representing Dr. Stephen Jackson, who has traveled abroad, and I'm acting in charge. So basically, I'm also wearing that hat as well and speaking on his behalf when I do the commitment. As we all know, leadership and commitment go hand in hand. And we have seen when we have a political leader who is really committed in action, then we have really seen the change over a couple of years, not even many years, but just in 2 years, like the maternal mortality, 0, and also access to family planning for adolescent and young people, almost 50%, and many other indicators. I think this is a clear demonstration of the leadership that Governor has really shown us, that indeed things are doable, and the commitment plan that we see for Homa Bay is indeed achievable. So that's one I want to say. Then secondly, Dr. Bosire mentioned that the UN has a partnership framework on how we partner with the government of Kenya, both at national and county level, but also with communities, private sector, and different partners, because nothing can be done alone. We'll not be able to achieve if we are alone. There is an African saying that if you want to run fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, then, go together. So it's very important that we bring everyone. And I take this opportunity to thank I call my daughter, Charlene Ruto, because I have a 32 years old daughter, so she's around that. I'm not necessarily saying how old she is, but I really appreciate, and you can really be a million, voice for the young people, because they say nothing for us without us. So they will be free to speak to you, to really share as they have done with us today. So it's very important to engage the stakeholders, to be at the center of everything that we do, planning, implementation, monitoring, and feedbacking as well, right? It's very important. So the UN, in its cooperation framework, has adopted the triple threat as one of the 15 joint programs that we have. In fact, 5 of them have already been approved and launched. One is the triple threat. Second is gender-based violence. Third one is child and social protection. The fourth one is the youth, focusing on young people again. And the fifth one, maybe I forgot, but at least I can assure you that triple threat is one of the prioritized joint program within the UN. What does it mean? We need to come as coordinated. Remember in the panel, there was silo, even CEC was telling us that, many fragmented approach, that is not really going to give us the result or to see the impact that we want to see. So even the UN, we are coordinated and we are delivering as one. So in this particular joint program that is triple threat, we are 7 UN agencies led by UNAIDS. So we have UNICEF, UNFPA, UN Women, IOM, UNESCO, and ILO. So the 7 of us are working together. But again, this is not limited. So we have other partners in the room, LVCT, PSI, CDC, and maybe others who are not in the room today. So partnership is key. But again, partnership should be with accountability. What do we mean by accountability? There is a division of labor, clear division of labor, and there should be results that we are holding ourselves accountable. So we are committing as UN that we'll be working with you. And again, I will repeat that Dr. Stephen Jackson, our UN resident coordinator, is very much committed to really bring the UN together so that we can partner and support Kenya to address the inequalities and ending specifically the triple threat that we are discussing today. So we want to appreciate you. And I know you are the health committee in the COG, so you are not only for Homa Bay, you are also, spreading the good work that you are doing so that we are able to see similar commitment, similar results, and progress across Kenya, because triple threat is not only in Homa Bay, but it's across the nation. So we want to see Kenya achieve its Vision 2030, but also the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. So we really want to appreciate you and thank you. And again, we commit ourselves to work very, very closely with you. Thank you so much.
A better round of applause, please, for Dr. Medine. Thank you, thank you. Remember, you see her here, she's speaking on behalf of 7 other UN agencies with which we have this cooperation framework. Now, finally, before I invite my senior brother, Moses Ilan, who's the county commissioner for this great county of Homa Bay, Your Excellency, allow me to request the planning team led by Waziri Roslyn, who led and steered the planning process for this for the last 2 months, just to stand up and be acknowledged. All of you, the planning team, wherever you are, kindly just stand. Please. Wape makofi ya kilo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are proud to have been associated with you. Thank you very much. And after this, we'll continue to something else. We are not stopping through an event. We are going to continue with this process. Thank you very much. And my brother Moses, karibu sana. This is our champion again, is the triple threat in this county. Thank you, Asante, Asante.
Thank you very much, Bosire. Let's give him a round of applause. I mean, he has done it better than that. Please. Thank you very much. So, Governor, our guests, the CEO, NCDCC, the partners present here, the CC members present, all of us, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Now, the second man that I'm taking over will be very brief. We are almost coming to the tail end. First, allow me to acknowledge that today is a milestone. For us in Homa Bay, we've been fighting the triple threat. I remember 2 years ago, I made an observation. And some people came and told me that your observation was too harsh. I said, we have a lot of partners, a lot of people and a lot of resources for that. There were a lot of interventions. So one day I said, you guys, we are all here, and the figures are going up. What is it? So everyone was saying, that should be a harsh observation. And I told them, if indeed we are investing in fighting this triple threat, why are the figures going up? So that was my question. Now, 2 years down the line, I think today I am a happier person. I'm a happier person because it looks like we reawakened the potential to deal with this triple threat at that time. So I want to thank the governor and her team for the approach is very decisive. It is to take on the triple threat head on. So from our part as law enforcement, we have also made it a commitment that we will mainstream the triple threat amongst the activities that we do on a daily basis. For your information, and this is a commitment from this end, triple threat is amongst the security threats that we have, not only in this county, it is in this country and also in the globe. Imagine the effects of the triple threat on our young girls, the effects of SGBV on our mothers, even our men. I know, the men are suffering in silence, but I know they are also affected by this issue. So the triple threat is an immobilizer. It is affecting the economy. It is affecting our families. And ladies and gentlemen, let's fight it head on. It is no longer a case of talking about it behind the tents. We must go to the pulpit in churches. We must go to the public barassas. We must talk about it even in funerals. And that is why I've asked the chiefs every day, they must be very decisive on these issues of triple threat. And the thing is this, so that you realize that there is meaning in a concerted effort towards fighting this. Every day, I remember like this morning, I've just received about 5 reports of arrests of perpetrators of defilements. This morning. So 5 cases already with the police. And the case that you had in Diwa of someone serving a sentence of 20 years, we have many more. We have many more cases. We have cases serving 15 years. We have cases serving 20 years. There are even some serving life sentences. And that is what we want to make very prominent so that everyone knows the consequences of engaging in the triple threat are just too dire. We shouldn't talk about it as an academic subject. It is real. It is affecting our children. It is affecting our women. It is affecting the entire society. So as I conclude, because I want to invite one of the speakers before we invite the governor, there is a saying that goes, it is not the load that breaks you. It is not the load that breaks you. It is how you carry the load. So the load of triple threat is not heavy. It is how we carry it, So when we carry it in a very wishy-washy manner, it will break us. But if we carry it with the capacity that we have as everybody and we do it jointly, because like the Ministry of Interior, we have mainstreamed this thing and we are bringing in a multi-sectoral setup to deal with it. So the way we carry it, I know we will win. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those remarks, allow me now to invite the Speaker of the County Assembly. I want him just to make one remark just before I bring in Dr. Masha. So the Speaker, please, just want you to make a statement, and then we bring in Dr. Masha.
Your Excellency, the Governor of this great county of Homa Bay, our County Commissioner, our very important partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon once again. Before I speak, I want to make an observation. And please allow me to do it. Can I have the men in the house, can just rise up? You're about 40 of you. Okay, you can sit down. Kindly, the ladies, can you rise up? So the ladies are the majority here. Yeah, I want to say this very briefly. I've been told to talk very briefly. Triple threat is a very serious thing that has affected our county. And as the county commissioner said, if we handle it well, then we'll be able to go away with it. But if we don't behave well, it will be here for some time to come. This is a county that is led by a lady. And when the governor came into office last year, but one, the first time he had the triple threat conference or symposium was at Tomboya University. And as the head of the assembly wing, out of 54, we have about 20 ladies in that assembly. John Ogada is amongst them, and Florence. And the governor took this threat head on. And you've seen how far we've gone. I want to plead to our people. Let's behave well and make sure that this does not take the name of or the image of Homa Bay to where it has been. All along, we've been ranked as #1 in terms of teenage pregnancies, all bad things. But of late, as we speak now, I think the figures have changed. So I believe we'll be able to make sure that the figures changes and changes further. Otherwise, thank you so much. Without few remarks.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for those remarks. Sorry. Oh, you forgot some people.
Sorry for that. Honorable members of the County Assembly, can you please rise up so that we recognize you? You are very few. I'll be able to. We have the two commissioners there, Commissioner Joe Koto, Commissioner Lilian. We have Honorable, who was once a commissioner in the Public Service Board, Honorable Florence Homa, special elected. We have Honorable Eric Owede, who represents all the youths in this county. I think you can really partner well with Charlene. Yeah. And then we have, because he's a youth champion for triple threat, we have Honorable Billy Noah from West Kamagak. And then we have Honorable David Hamilton from Kagan. Then I have my deputy whip, majority. Here is only one party, Honorable Titus Asiago. Then I have the whip, majority, Honorable senior member, Honorable Bob Bernard Obondo. Then lastly, the champion for triple threat, Commissioner Joan Ogada, the MCA for Kojuach. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. An applause for him. So I think you are aware that there are commitments that have been made by the national government. Each ministry have come up with commitments, and already they have been itemized and put within a plan. As I invite Dr. Masha to come in and make those commitments before this forum, I want also to take this time to introduce the team from the security, the county security team. Tafadhali msimame as Dr. Masha comes in. We have the county DCI, we have our colleagues from the National Police Service, all of them are here. And again, it is a testament to the fact that triple threat is a security issue. That is what we are saying. Every effort that we are putting in is to ensure that we securitize the triple threat. That is the only way we will decisively deal with this menace. I was advantaged to be part of the entourage for Charlene Ruto. We were in Othoro, and we had the girls talk about their predicaments. What came out very well was that there is no one to take responsibility for the challenges the girls are going through. The girls are quiet, they are bearing a heavy brunt of criminals. So my assurance is this: we've told our chiefs to bring out all the perpetrators, and all these criminals must go to jail. For our girls to be safe, the criminals must go to jail. That is what we are saying. So for those remarks, Dr. Masha, please come forward. An applause for her.
Son Excellence, Paul Kabongo, Ujimai. Shikoma watu haiwe na mbakwe, haiwe na mfumu, goda kongo.
Thank you very much. I think mine is very, very brief. I have spoken before, and we've just had a commitment from the county commissioner, and what a beautiful commitment, that he's committing that in Homa Bay County, the girls will be safe and the criminals will be locked up. We just came from Bungoma County, and there was a commitment that those who defile the girls will be done something else. I don't know if you watched that. And they had a harsh punishment, which was to take away the speed governor and the crankshaft and everything together. But for the purpose of today, we just thought we would not end, because we'll be speaking about commitments. And people are asking, what commitment are we speaking about? For those people in the room today, our first commitment is that we want to ensure every girl has an access to sanitary towel, or what you're calling menstrual product hygiene. Do you take that commitment as an individual? Do you have a house girl at home? Do you have that child that when you go and eat today 1,000 shillings and you're paying a bill, you shall remember that if I bought a packet of sanitary towels for that girl, I could be saving her from unintended, unprotected sex. That is one commitment. There are 12. Our next commitment is that we are saying that by 2030, our children shall not have to think about the fact that if they have sex, it shall also come with HIV. And they'll also not have to think about that we do not have information and access to services for them to remain HIV-free. So we are committing, and that as a Ministry of Health, that those numbers we are seeing today, especially for the ages of 10 to 19, shall become almost negligible numbers, that we shall be ending up to zero. We are also committing that we need to speak to our children at home and everywhere. Something I must say is that not every young person who has the agency not to have sex is having sex. We are also committing that we shall help our young children to delay the onset of sexual activities. Please encourage. Can parents here today stop this common phrase, watoto siku hizi wameharibika? Can you commit you'll never use that statement again? Watoto wameharibika ni wanani? Si ni wetu. So let's encourage those who are abstaining to remain abstinent, because our own words as adults have not been encouraging to those who are abstinent. Our next commitment that we are looking for, and which is also, we are working in Ministry of Interior, Gender, and it's about the pregnancy themselves. And people are asking, why is the Ministry of Interior and also the National Treasury, where NCPD is hosted, the one to account for the pregnancies? Because somebody surely must tell us why we have 240,000 pregnancies. And we are saying at the end of every year, the ministry that has been assigned that responsibility shall be responsible for the scorecard. We are also committing that there needs to be an increase of the proportion of pupils transition to secondary school. We are at 7% as a country. What we want to see is that every child that went to primary school actually went to secondary school. It was an ambitious program for the government, and we know it can happen. With a mix of day school and boarding school, it indeed can happen. Then the other commitment that we have is the reduction of sexual and gender-based violence, which is something we've spoken about. We are also committing that during this process, we shall make our children aware of drug and substance and alcohol abuse. I don't know if many of you know that before 5 years ago, we only used to speak about injecting drugs at the coast, Nairobi, and a little bit of Kisumu. The story today is that we have heroin in Uasin Gishu, we have heroin in Homa Bay. Did you know that? Our children are already beginning to stop from alcohol, they're injecting drugs. So we are saying part of the challenge you are facing in this triple threat is also the challenge of alcohol and substance and drugs abuse. Parents, and as well as all people here today, you must go home saying part of the triple threat is also to deal with that commitment. We spoke about cancer, cervical cancer. This is something that we can do together. We can roll out those vaccines in the store and ensure every girl who is at the age of 9 to 13, who has not had sex, is actually accessing a vaccine. I want to tell you confidently that the human papilloma virus vaccine is one of the most effective and safest vaccine that mankind has ever developed. So go home confident, knowing that you heard from Maureen, I don't lie. I'm telling you the truth. Take your girl to be vaccinated. You shall give her an insurance against cervical cancer for the future. We are talking about gainful employment. And this is something that all of us must come together. The question I asked you today about whose child is being left behind. Let me tell you the storyline. I want to use myself as an example. My daughter just finished last year, but one. Ask me, is she working? The answer is yes. She's working, isn't it? Why? Because I'm standing in a place of privilege. Is every classmate of my daughter working? The answer is no. We must come up with policies that acknowledge that the system we are using today is a system of the rich having the opportunities to actually get into the labor market. We must accept as a county that we must be able to look at all the children that graduated and offer them an equal footing. But if it has to be left to Ruth knowing the governor and knowing the county commissioner, then what you're going to create is a poverty cycle where even education will never equalize that poor girl, and we shall come back here again to speak about her having experienced all those things despite the education we're giving her. And finally, we also have to talk about the issue of policy and legal environment. And we are actually committing, which is very interesting, that we are working in the judiciary to look at even the clause of Romeo and Juliet. I call it the clause of Romeo and Juliet. What you don't know today is in our prison is full of boys, young boys. And I invite you to go to the juvenile prison and find our boys there because they had sex, unprotected sex. They had not been educated about it. The girl got pregnant. The girl was underage, and they are actually in our prisons. So we are actually committing to look at the legal framework so that we don't punish the boys that we also are leaving behind with education. We educate them, we equip them in skills that they'll also stop having sex with underage girls, and they have the knowledge to keep themselves safer. I met adolescent fathers in Kibra. I met an A student in Kibra who was in Alliance. Now he's a Mason in Kibra because he impregnated a girl and ran away. We cannot continue in a society that is not thinking outside the box. Thank you very much. Join us in the commitment, and I hope as the governor comes, you have your copy, and we look forward to having each one and every one of you as a partner. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Give a stronger one. You know, when Daktari mentioned about the transformers, you know, what quickly came to my mind, you know, in Homa Bay, we have a problem of blackouts. You know, a lot of it. So we have transformer vandals all over the county. So I want to invite them. There is another venture. They can harvest those other transformers instead of vandalizing the other ones for. So the chiefs, I think you've heard the commitments. I forgot to introduce them. The Ngaos generally, are you there? Please, I know we have many of them who are part of this war. Now, it is the time we are coming to the tail end. We want to come to the climax. And I want, with humility, all of us to stand as I invite the governor to take over the last segment. Hebu tupige makofi, moja mbili tatu. Karibu governor. Asante sana.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, Bwana Sisi. Please be seated. Sisi, wewe utakumbuka ile mambo ya Nyayo when people walikuwa napiga makofi moja mbili tatu. We have since moved a bit, so now we do milpolo, you know, just one big clap. I'm really privileged and honored on behalf of the people of Homa Bay to host this very distinguished gathering. Before I say a few things, I'd like to invite Charlene to just say a word, your commitment as the youth champion. You have spoken here, you've spoken very strongly. And I've not really heard you speak, but I'm very impressed by the character of your thought. I think you're going very far in championing. Please come. Yeah. Just a minute.
Okay. Thank you, Excellency. I wasn't expecting for her to call me here, but thank you so much, and thank you for giving us space for the young people on the table, and to Dr. Masha as well, and Dr. Medin from UNAIDS. As young people, what I want to commit on behalf of the young people is that we are going to raise awareness, we are going to advocate, we are going to receive information and disseminate it fully to our fellow young people so that we are the ones on the ground who are championing against the triple threat. I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. Short and sweet like honey.
Asante sana. I think that's very well put, very precise, and achievable for the young people. So thank you, Charlene, and thank you for making time to come out to Homa Bay. Dr. Masha, you're a honorary Homa Bayan. We're always happy to have you. Dr. Medin, thank you so much. You're coming back to Homa Bay. Last year we were together, Dr. Shaheen. We are very, very happy to have you. Ms. Demanche from IOM, all our partners, Dr. Tiso, who's my former boss. She hired me at LVCT Health. I used to work for her. And when I was coming to be governor here, it just happened coincidentally that LVCT was the lead implementing partner for our CDC programs, and that was a very, very good coincidence. So I welcome you once again to the Bay of Endless Potential. We had made a commitment to finish by 4 o'clock. Mr. Speaker, sir, and the entire assembly, asante sana. Your assembly is always ready to put together our policy frameworks around these issues. And for that, we thank you. And I am happy that the leadership of the assembly is here to support this cause. I see also our executive committee members. Roslyn has spoken. Roslyn is our CC for health. Asante Sana, she's the one who's been leading this process. Thank you. CC for governance, Grace Masi Osewe. I don't know if there's any other member of the county executive, please. Yeah, the county CC for roads, Danish. When the men were told to stand, they were standing forcefully. We are here. CC for education, Mr. Pere. Our chief officers, please just rise. Chief Officer for Health, Dr. Suri. Chief Officer for Livestock, Bernardo Mwanda. Chief Officer for Communication, Atieno Tieno. The rest of the staff of Homa Bay, just wave. Thank you for hosting this wonderful session. And I once again welcome you to this Bay of Endless Potential. I know we are to finish by 4 o'clock, so it is our intention to finish in not so far from 4 o'clock. Had I gotten the mic before 4 o'clock, we probably would have tried to finish by 4. But I hope that maybe 4:30 or thereabout, it would still be good time to drive back to Kisumu. And one of the commitments we are making is that in the very near future, while we have flights landing in Homa Bay, they are not daily, but in the very near future, we commit that you will not have to endure the drive from Kisumu coming into Homa Bay. We are working towards daily flights landing in Homa Bay, so that when you're coming to Homa Bay, it's not a project that you have to plan until you do monitoring and evaluation. You just wake up and come to Homa Bay and go back to, you come to Wilson, come to Homa Bay, go back to Nairobi through Wilson. So that is something that we are working on. And I also welcome you to this Bay of Endless Potential. If you've ever wondered why Homa Bay, those there are the Homa Hills. And this here is the Bay. So that is Homa Bay. That is how this comes about. And I welcome you to come back to holiday as well. We have the Ruma National Park. It has rhinos, buffaloes, giraffe. It's 25 minutes out of here, and you can see 3 of the big 5. And if you move out, those who went to Tomboya, you saw that it's one of the most beautiful places. And you didn't even go, further on to Mpangano and Takawiri. We have white sand beaches in Homa Bay. So for our guests, really consider Homa Bay the next time you're around. We went to Ndiwa, and I think it was very eye-opening. And many times you assume many things, and you think you know things. Like for us who are always on the ground, you think you understand the issues, and sometimes you don't. Yeah, many times you don't. Why? Because Masha talked about privilege also. To a large extent, sometimes you don't see it from the lens. And these girls, told us their stories. And they said, look, me, I was in class 8, we went for sports, and I had nothing, and our home had nothing. And so my friend, told me she had some money, and I asked her, how do you have money? And she said, I have a boyfriend who gave me, and they went, and she had other boys on the line whom she introduced. And she was the one who kept on saying, when this girl said, I have to go home, she said, no, just talk to the boy, because she was bought juice for 30 bob. And the story was the same, all around the room. And it was a one-nighter, and they got pregnant, and they're having children, and that was the end, to a large extent, of some of their education. So the poverty story, for me, stuck. And our role in poverty alleviation, and we might not do everything. We might not eradicate poverty, as is the story, not in our generation maybe, but if we do small things that lead families to have some income so that they can take care of their children, small needs. Mama, I'm going for sports, could I have 100 bob? Small needs like those. And Charlene was talking about lotions and what have you, just small needs. And so for me, in my heart, I made a commitment that as governor of Homa Bay, I'm going to work double hard to ensure that the people of Homa Bay have money in their pockets, because that might save one girl or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, who might have fallen into the trap. Then there was just the lack of information. We do our mentorship, we do it in high school. You're talking to 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds. These girls were 12, You know, maybe they're in primary schools. The information must get out much earlier than we are doing. Because once the trap is earlier and they know nothing, absolutely, about the things they're being told about. And the peer pressure element. So there's a lot that we learned today. But nonetheless, we have our hands full this time, because when HIV came, you know, the battles were fought. But besides combating HIV, right now our communities are facing other equally devastating epidemics that threaten to do worse. The triple threat of new HIV infections, teenage pregnancies, and sexual and gender-based violence, for which we are here today. Our job is cut out, with numbers showing much more to be done as we race towards the set deadlines. In September last year, Homa Bay played host to CS Susan Akumisha, together with CS Rebecca Miano, and I think Dr. Shaheen, Dr. Medin, I think even Dr. Masha. We were all here as we launched a rapid results initiative towards the Kenya plan to end AIDS in children by 2027. By joining forces, we pledged to make a significant impact by implementing various strategies to prevent HIV transmission among children. Under the theme, Wakati ni Sasa, End AIDS in Children, we affirmed our full commitment to this mission of safeguarding our children and ending the AIDS epidemic. This meeting thus should be one of the platforms for us to review our progress and to ascertain how much more ground we need to cover to achieve these pledges, both as leaders and as governments. With over 120,600 people in Homa Bay living with HIV, a prevalence of 15.2%, 1,240 new infections in the year 2023, and a mother-to-child infections rate at 5.3% against the Global Alliance target of below 5%, I graciously took the role of a lead ambassador for elimination of vertical transmission of HIV, as well as an ambassador for the triple threat, and I have not shied away from participating in the conversation to sustain the gains made in this near epidemic control for HIV in Homa Bay County, even amidst the CDC-laid roadmap for self-reliance and transition of HIV response. Working with partners, especially UNICEF, we have moved in to address data discrepancies, inaccuracy, inconsistency, and incompleteness generated in the current data management system, as well as systemic issues affecting the quality of prevention and elimination of mother-to-child transmission of HIV, syphilis, and hepatitis B reported from health facilities in the county. The quality PMTCT data that can be used for decision-making at all levels in the country, and the impact of change on the triple elimination of vertical transmission of HIV, syphilis, hepatitis B in Kenya would mean improved accuracy in PMTCT data, enhanced monitoring and evaluation of PMTCT program, informed decision-making for PMTCT interventions, optimized resource allocation for PMTCT, identification of gaps in PMTCT data reporting, increased accountability in PMTCT programs, and enhanced community engagement in PMTCT. Teenage pregnancy is another area of great concern, not only to me, but to all of us as leaders. I had recently the president also saying that Kenya was also among the highest teenage pregnancies in the continent and in the world. Now that is very disturbing. It's extremely disturbing. With those with whom we were at Ndiwa, as I said in the morning before we left, every time you step into a facility within this county, you are 100% sure. The probability, if I remember my maths, the probability that you will get an adolescent who has delivered or is pregnant, the probability is 1. You are for sure certain you will get an adolescent between 10 and 19 years who is delivering at that facility. This is an epidemic. This is a serious matter. We are losing a generation. We are losing an entire generation of girls, and I don't know who is going to stand up after us to speak on some of these issues. Who are going to be the leaders? And we are treating it as if it's normal. And I think we must stop treating it as normal. And when somebody said, when we listened to the lack of information and just ignorance on these matters, a campaign to the magnitude of what we did to reverse HIV in this country is required on this issue of adolescent pregnancies so that we can avoid losing an entire generation. At a prevalence of 23%, 23%, you know? And when we were in Diwa, we were told 75% nearly of CSs there are adolescents. Homa Bay ranks 6th, an indicator that we must reverse. Adolescent pregnancies pose not only health risks to young girls, but it is both psychological and physiological burden in the communities. A higher risk of low birth weight babies, preterm babies, severe neonatal conditions like respiratory distress syndrome, and others. To combat teenage pregnancy, part of our program has been to organize both girls and boys mentorship camps as platform through which teenagers can be mentored and challenged to prioritize constructive decisions over what has the potential of cutting their career dreams short. This month, earlier this year in March, we held a boys mentorship camp. This month, we have a plan to hold a girls mentorship camp, something I have done since 2014. We used to call it Mama County Says, and now we call it the Governor's Mentorship Camp. And I would like to invite all our partners who are here to please partner with us in supporting this Governor's Mentorship Camp as an opportunity, as one of the small ways through which we can pass correct information to our people. So we'll be hosting this mentorship camp at Ratanga Girls in Diwa, and we are writing to I think we have written and we continue to write to our partners to seek support for this mentorship camp. And I thank our partners because they have walked with us this mentorship journey consistently over the years. Additionally, we have heightened advocacy and communication in the wards in the wards that have high rate of teenage pregnancies, and had a training of youth champions who are championing adolescent sexual and reproductive health in the community and other forums. Reduction of teenage pregnancy from 32, this resulted in reduction of teenage pregnancy from 33 to 23%. We are also working closely with our community health promoters. You saw them in Tomboya, you saw them in Diwa, to pass these messages as candidly as possible within the communities. Last year, March, as part of our celebrations of the International Women's Day, we launched our county's sexual and gender-based violence policy framework, marking a crucial step in addressing this issue in our county. Since then, we have held community dialogues with stakeholders at grassroots, reaching over 3,000 people, while at the same time disseminating abridged copies and customized messaging to over 4,000 stakeholders across the county. Moreover, we have established safe spaces and rescue and hope centers for SGBV survivors at Makongeni, Mbita, Rangwe, and the County Referral Hospital. And this is in partnership with several of our partners whom we thank immensely for their support. We are also working closely with the National Security Services, and thank you, our County Commissioner, for your partnership with us, and the justice system to apprehend the perpetrators and seek justice for survivors. I think we already had the Ndewa story. In conclusion, it is my plea that this high-level experiential learning visit to Homa Bay will help us come up with unbeatable ideas on how we can achieve our targets and make this society and that of future generations safe, secure, and free of HIV and AIDS, early pregnancies, and cases of violence of whichever form. I'd like to ask our partners, wherever you are, to look out for Homa Bay. Whatever programs that are there, we'd like to urge you to always be our ambassadors, remember us, and remember Homa Bay, and to thank immensely all our partners who have made this possible and the organizing committee. And with this, I say, may God bless Homa Bay. May God bless Kenya as we work together towards ending the triple threat. Asanteni sana, and God bless you.